Well, you'll need a notepad for the circle of fifths, so. Not a good look. Yeah. I'm sorry, but I look. I'm like, I can't. I'm trying to keep this a family show. This is prime time right here, baby. Yes. Yeah. What was up with yesterday, Kathy? That was crazy. So, hey, Paul, good to see you. AJ or Anthony, good to see you. Sip, no, not yet. We got to go over the rules though. Once we get 25 people here, maybe 30, we'll go over the rules of the live stream. We've already got thumbs up, which makes no sense because I haven't really done anything yet. But thank you for the thumbs up, Frankie, Bruce, or Michelle. I'm not sure who that is now. Messing with me here. Diane, Gary, Pepper, Roger's here. Everybody's here. Look at that. Jim, how's it going? Hello from Oregon, or hello to Oregon from Los Angeles. Yes, Circle of Fifths won out. That's what we're going to talk about today. And then I made, what we may do. Yeah, I know what I'm going to do next too. Oh, sorry. It's labor intensive stuff, but hey, Andrew, I'm going to try to get to your song today. I've been buried under work, which I'm not complaining about. The gaming industry is on fire right now, which makes sense because everybody's stuck at home. So all my gaming composers have been sending me lots of work to do. So happy to do that. The great thing about gaming is that, even the games themselves are virtual and CG and everything. So they don't even need to film actors or anything. They might have to do some motion capture. But for the most part, they can all work from home. So the movie thing, I'm still working on some movies and TV shows I'm always working on. But that's stuff I'm writing. But the movies I expect will hit a wall at some point because if they're not creating new content. But right now, composers are just catching up. So, and then I've been working on some records too. So it's just all kind of coming in, which is great. 31 people. Okay, so the rules for the podcast, we got the drinking game. And I don't have anything to drink. I just got a little bit of water, so I got to be careful. I may have to send off for some. I should grab the Diet Coke. I'll text my wife and have her bring me a Diet Coke. But it's a drinking game. So if I touch my face, if I refer to myself in the third person, or if I say I had a band in high school called ... not ... but just if I had a band in high school called, then we have to all take a sip of something. And if you miss it, chances are somebody else caught it, and you'll see in the chat the admonition to take a sip or glug, or we have all sorts of different synonyms for taking a drink. It's 11 o'clock in LA, so if you're on the West Coast, I don't recommend alcohol because you really don't want to be starting to drink at 11 o'clock in the morning during the quarantine. So that's a bad habit to start. And then there's, the squirrel thing, that's going to happen a lot. So I'm not letting you take a drink at Squirrel. And then the other question is that you have to ponder and try to determine if I'm wearing pants or not. So far, it's been 20 days in a row, or 19 days in a row of me actually wearing pants. That I don't know if that'll change, but we'll see. Hey, all, Vermont in the house. Perfect. Stay put. What are we learning today? We are learning the circle of fifths. And we're going to take the circle of fifths, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to use our formula for a major scale, and we're going to go ahead and make not just all 12 keys, but we'll make some other keys too. And it's going to be a little bit of work. Some of the keys are very easy, but I'm going to show you a cheat that will help you to do it. And the circle of fifths helps you cheat. So we're gonna do that today. Okay. So we'll get started. We had a little adventure today. We didn't put out a fire today. Beth didn't put out a fire today. But we did have, I learned a lesson today. So, and so we'll remind me about that later. It's not, you're probably going to go, that's like the lamest story ever. But anyway, so I'm going to text my wife and see if she can bring me a Diet Coke because I did you just see my password? I'm just going to ask her to bring me a caffeinated Diet Coke. I have both. And I don't want to leave the room. So we're going to do this, and this makes for great television. So speaking of, I read an article a couple of years ago in the LA Times. Keep in mind that LA Times is in Los Angeles, where Hollywood is. And one of the things, the article was about the fact that the cell phone, hey, Chris, Frankie, Dennis, man, everybody's here. The cell phone solves too many problems. And so if you'll notice, particularly like in romantic comedies or where you have a comedy or where you have a drama where you need, thank you. She doesn't want to make an appearance. She even opened it for me, probably because she took a drink. She didn't want me to spray the screen. But when I have romantic comedies and, you need to have conflict. You need to have that. I forget if it's act 1 or act 2. Act 1 is a setup, 2 is a conflict, 3 is another, I don't know. Anyway, but there needs to be some kind of misunderstanding or whatever. And the problem is with most misunderstandings or most situations where somebody didn't show up when they're supposed to, those could have all been solved by a phone call. So script writers have to work extra hard to kind of come up with a way that the cell phones, you'll notice in movies like they don't have coverage or they drop their cell phone in the toilet or, so they have to be really creative with how they're going to get rid of the cell phone so they can propel the story forward, which I think is actually really fascinating. I've written, this is a little known fact. I've mentioned it before though. I've written several screenplays just for fun, really. I've gotten a couple of them around. I wrote a drama about which I tend to write. So I'm going to tell this story before we get going because we got 43 people. I could get started because let's remind me to tell how I got started writing stories. How I got started writing screenplays. Okay. Also, this guitar. Wow, I didn't realize that. This is the second electric I got. You saw the first one, and remember I showed you the headstock of the my 175 copy, the blonde one, and how much it totally, boy, this thing is dusty, how it totally replicated, squirrel, it totally replicated to a point of being sued, the headstock of a Gibson. So this was what they kind of came up with after the lawsuit, and they had to come up with their own kind of insignia here and their own script here, and then this is really what they changed. And the courts kind of ruled that the only thing that was really copyrightable or patentable on a guitar was the headstock. And so, this is actually a fine guitar, fine workmanship. I paid $300 for this. Oh, you know what? No, this is not my second guitar. I think I said this wrong in my video about this guitar. This actually, maybe I said it right. I don't remember. I did that video a while ago. I have a series, Why So Many Guitars? And this one, I think I traded an early 70s Les Paul for this because I think I bought a Les Paul from my sister's friend, John Dinwiddie in Indianapolis, a great guitar player. And he sold me his Les Paul for like $300, which was probably pretty much what they were going for. This thing's really pretty. I mean, beautiful wood. And of course, I can't tell if it's solid because there's binding on the F-hole. They covered up the, so you can't tell if it's plywood or not. If I had a mirror, I could see if the grain matched, but I don't have that. Oh, I can see if the grain matches on the inside to the back. The inside looks like same kind of wood. So I imagine it's solid. It probably says on the original brochure, which you could find, this would be like a 78. or 79. So anyway, I got this Les Paul, and it was it was an era of Les Pauls. It was a custom, had gold hardware, 2 humbuckers. It was a beautiful sunburst. I have a picture of me playing it. It might be on my Facebook page if you got that. If not, remind me. I'll put it up on there so you can see it. Of course, I look like a 4-year-old. I'm like 16 or 7, not even, maybe 15 or 16, playing in my band, my high school band. And but it was kind of what was called back in the day. They called those the Fretless Wonders because the frets were so low on them. For some reason, I think they got the idea that if they made the frets low and the action low, it would be really fast because everybody's trying to play fast. Everybody's trying to be Al Di Meola or something. And I mean, I wish I still had the guitar, like you're saying, but I traded it even for this at the store that I was taking lessons from. And so, you know, it was a pretty good trade. I mean, I think if I looked that guitar up, early 70s Les Paul custom. I mean, like I said, I mean, you could see, look at how corroded this gold is. I mean, my hands just sweat. And so I never buy guitars with gold hardware because it just gets nasty so fast because I have very acidic sweat or something. That's why I use Elixir strings. We've talked about that in the past. And technically, I guess I endorse them. I mean, I don't know. I think I can get a box of free strings every year or something like that. I always forget to order them. So, but anyway, they're not paying me to say this except by giving me a box every now and then of free strings. So, but this was my, you know, I was getting into Lee Ritenour and Larry Carlton and Robin Ford, and they all played 335s. So I eventually, much later, got a 335. Maybe I'll play my Gibson tomorrow. But this one is, like I said, I think a 78, a 79. The serial number I think maybe it's a 79. So yeah, it's right my senior year of high school. And so this is that guitar. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Circle of Fifths because we got 47 people online right now. So let's get going. I wait a little bit. I chit chat a little bit. 49 people. I wait a little bit because I want to make sure we get everybody on board. So what we're going to do is get paper and pencil out. I left my cap off yesterday. So I'm hoping I still have, did I do this after? Let me check. Yeah, we're good. It's a good pen. It's a kind of a calligraphy pen, kind of. Okay, so what we're going to do is I want you to write a circle on the top of the page. Pepper, I saw yours and you already put a piano up here. That's fine. That totally will come in handy. If you want to put a piano keyboard up there too, you can. I'm going to be making you do some work. So get ready to be typing as well. But do a circle like this, but put it up high. I need space because we're going to write in ultimately 15 keys, 16 keys. Well, you'll see in a second. So yes, mine has a three position switch. Bruce, let's see. Hey, New York. Hey, Harley, how you doing? We got some new people here. Recovery. Bumblebee is a great movie. I didn't work on Bumblebee. Who said? Well, I worked on Transformers, the last Transformers movie, but Steve Jablonsky did not do the music for Bumblebee, so I didn't work on that. But I've been working on every Jablonsky movie for the last 10 movies, I think. So he's so great to work with. I really love him a lot. He's a really good composer, and he gives me a lot of freedom, which is a lot of fun. Okay, so we're writing this out. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make a clock marks. So go ahead and put mark at the top, mark at the bottom, marks on the sides like that. So you got 4, like east, north, south, east, west, whatever. Okay. And then we're going to do 2 more in between each one. So we have all the points of a clock. And I may write inside or outside. I'll probably write inside anyway. Okay. So this is our circle of fifths. If you want to write circle of fifths up here, it's obviously a circle, but circle of fifths. I don't know if you remember, I mentioned that band of my friend Rick Bennick, who passed away a couple of years ago, and he was a real inspiration for me as a guitar player. He had a band called Roadmaster, and their one hit was Circle. Was it Circle of? What's this? Circle of something? Circle of Life? No. Shoot. Circle of Love? Maybe it may have been Circle of Love. It was kind of their one hit that got to like 40 on the national charts. It was kind of a bummer, you know. It was like, dang, they were going to be big, but they never made it. So you got that, okay? So what we're going to do is the first key is C. C is all white keys on the piano, no sharps, no flats, okay? And what's going to happen is we'll write C right here, okay? Oh my gosh. I just wrote G. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. Now I got to write the C on top. I'm an idiot. Holy cow. How did I do that? Okay. So now don't write a big black dot right there. Just write a C. Don't Circle of Squirrels. Exactly. I had a band in high school called Circle of Squirrels. All right. Circle of Love. I think, do you know that song, David, or you just looked it up? Probably if you look up Roadmaster on YouTube, it's the first song that comes up. Okay, we got 55 people. Holy cow. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go down here about right below, maybe 2 lines below, because we're going to need to write right here, or you might write in here. We're going to actually, down here, we're going to write on both sides. Oh, right. I said a band in high school. I really need a Diet Coke endorsement. I think if I'm going to be doing this. 56, 57. That's not how many sips you have to take. Just one. So, okay, I got a lot. We got 50. Oh, I see. Oh, you can see how many people I know. So that we have a drinking game going on. Every time I touch my face, which we're not supposed to do, every time I refer to myself in the third person, which I'm also not supposed to do, and every time I say I had a band in high school called, you have to take a drink. All right? My drink today is water and Diet Coke. If you want to put your drink of choice down there, I know diet soda's bad. I know. But it's funny because no one in my family will drink diet soda because they're saying it's going to give them cancer. And I'm the only one in my family that hasn't had cancer. So I think the aspartame actually inhibits cancer cell growth is what I believe. Coffee, okay. Tea, good. Okay, you can. Everybody put down what their drink of choice is. Okay, now we're going to go back. This is a reference to a lesson we had before. If you want to go back, I went back and renamed our lessons. This is lesson 20. If you see the lessons, I think lesson 13 was the one we did the modes. So if you watch lesson 13, you will learn the formulas for the modes, for the diatonic modes. Okay. We're not going to talk about that specifically, but I'm going to give you, dang, Gary, good job. Chips. Erica, she's drinking chips. By the way, oh my God, I sidetracked so bad. You guys I can't believe you're sticking with me through all this. Amy Grant would eat a bag of potato chips right before she would sing in the studio. Just by the way, that's it. Yeah. Now, I thought it was because it made her voice all gravelly sounding, because I always thought she had a gravelly sounding voice. But apparently it's because of the oils in the chips would actually lubricate your vocal cords. You learn something new every day. Okay, so we're going to write the formula for a major scale here, okay? We're going to write whole, so just a W, whole, half, H, whole, half, okay? So that's the formula. You can take a screenshot if you want, but we're going to fill this page up. Ooh, I hope I left room for me. I'm hoping here we got enough room to do everything. Whew. I don't know. We'll see. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm just going to make it. I think it's going to be a messy page, but I'm going to make it. Okay. Your mom ate 11. My dad would eat onions like an apple, like white onions. He would eat, or yellow onions. He would eat it like an apple. He would peel off the dry skin and then just eat it like it's crazy. Okay, so there's the formula. Okay, the first key that we're going to write, the first key in the circle of fifths is the C, the key of C. So we're going to go ahead and start here, write C. All right, and we want to go up a whole step from C. I don't have the keyboard up here, but a whole step up from C is D. Remember, I said C is all white key, so there's not going to be any sharps or flats. So we're going to have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And I need to be super intentional because I'm just going to write some random stuff up here because I'm not paying attention. All right. Now we can put the caret, that's the upside down V, above E and F like that, between E and F and between B and C, because our half steps, if we do all the scales right, all the way down here, we're going to do all of them. We will have the carets, the half steps will always occur between the third note and the fourth note, and the seventh note and the eighth note, or the seventh note and the root. Okay. Garlic. Yeah, garlic's awesome. I love garlic. 12-foot rule for onions. Social distancing rule for onions. Yeah. Okay. So thanks, Kathy. So that's our first scale. That's the C. Okay, what's up? What's the next key? So here's, I'm going to tell you this in advance. So the sharp keys are going to be going this way, and the flat keys are going to be going this way. We're going to do the sharp keys first, okay? So what we do is we count up 5 in the key of C, all right? We count up 5. C, D, E, F, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's the next key. That's up a fifth. You can see that. Okay, I'm going to get my guitar out so we can actually see a fifth. You play fifths all the time. If you play power chords at all, you're playing fifths. That's a fifth. So if I'm playing C, that's a B. Well, that's a lot of... that's better, but still kind of woofy. Maybe turn this off. I've not played this guitar through this sound yet. I think I'm just gonna take out the delays, so it's not too annoying. It's my kind of my pseudo Pat Metheny sound. Yep. So Verdi, you're already ahead of me on this. Okay. So what we're going to have to do, though, we're going to have to use the formula to create a G major scale. So the next key, a fifth up, we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is G. Okay. So a whole step up from G. Yeah, Kathy, you went like this. You went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got to start on the C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a fifth up. Okay. So G, a whole step up from G. Yep, A, right, Rick. Okay, I'm going to move on. We need another whole step. Whole step up from A. Take your time. Get the first. Once we get the first right answer, whole step up from A. Very good, David. Thank you. Is B. Okay, now we need a half step. So what's a half step up from? What's a half step up from? No, A, Bob, you went up a fifth from A. We just want to go to the next. Okay, so yeah, everybody got the B, so we need a half step. What's a half step up? 1 fret up from B. And whoever gets it right, Rick. Oh, Rick, you already got that. Okay, good. I think you may have got. Okay, very good. Everybody's getting to see the live chat. Is this going to be like just letters all up in it? We're not going to do this for every one of these. Okay, I just want to get to the one where we're going to have an issue. Okay, so up a whole step from, yeah. Thanks, Rick. You could say B sharp, but we wouldn't want to have B and B sharp in the same key because it'll just make it confusing. Because every time you want B, you're going to have to write a natural sign, and every time you want is B sharp. So it's C. And here, I'm going to tell you right now, we want to just have it alphabetical. We will not have the same letter twice, except, of course, at the brackets on the beginning and the end. But everything will be, you're fine. You're fine, Rickavar. Okay, so up a whole step. We need another, now we need a whole step again. So up a whole step from C is, if we learned it from here, it's D. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to go, yep, David, yep. Okay, up a whole step from D. There's lag about 10 seconds. A whole step up from D. Let's get that one. Now we're going to have the tricky one. Harley, good job. Bob, perfect. Bruce, 2 cups of coffee, perfect. Yep, Peter, thank you. Rick, perfect. Roger, yep. So we're going to go E. Now, here's where we're like, wait a minute. Okay, what do we need here? Well, E to F, if you remember from the key of C, is a half step. We need another whole step. So what note do we need to get a whole step up? Rick, you're right. Very good. Everybody's got it. Okay. We stayed alphabetical. We didn't say G flat. G flat would be incorrect. Sonically, we learned a word before. Somebody used it yesterday correctly. And oops, we learned enharmonic. Okay, enharmonic means two different names for the same note. So for example, F sharp equals G flat. However, we would not want to have G flat in the key of G, because every time you wanted a G flat, you'd have to write a flat sign, and it's in the key of G, so you'd have a lot of G. So every time you'd want a G, you'd have to write a natural sign. I can't even do a natural sign on the computer. A natural sign kind of looks like a sharp sign with some legs cut off. So F sharp is the correct answer, and then F sharp to G is a half step. So that is correct. Okay, now I'm going to show you the cheat. Okay, you want the cheat? Because I love shortcuts. There's something called Tetra Chords. Okay, this is not part of the drinking game, but I often say there's no quiz at the end of the week. With the word enharmonic, most of you understand it because I've used it enough. Tetra chords I've not used before. Tetra chords. Oops, I got to spell it right. Spelled just like it sounds. Okay. A tetrachord, I couldn't really play on a guitar, but a tetrachord on a piano you could play. But basically, it's the first, if you look at a major scale, a tetrachord is a stack of notes. So if you look at C, D, E, F, so we have whole, and half. That's a tetrachord. If you look at G, A, B, C, that's the same exact tetrachord, whole, half. So a major scale, you could think of it as two tetrachords on top of each other. All right. Now, I am going to, oh, yeah, sure. I'm sorry. There you go, Chris. So we're going to use that knowledge in just a second. I want you to tell me, what is the next key? Count up a fifth from G, and that's going to be our next key. Count up a fifth from G. If you have this written, if you don't have a piece of paper, maybe get a piece of paper out and a pen, and you can kind of follow along. But I'll hold this up so you can do a screenshot. Exactly right. So up a fifth from G is D. So the next key, okay, and is D. Now C was 0 sharps or flats. Okay, G was 1 sharp. Well, how many sharps do you think we're going to have with D? Jesse, always a troll. And Jesse used what? Now, C double sharp is enharmonic with D. It's the same note. Two different names for the same note. 2 sharps, that's right. Yep. So the next key is going to have 2 sharps, Ferdy. Okay, now here's where tetrachords come into effect. Okay, if you notice, excuse me, the second tetrachord in the key of C was G, A, B, C. Did you notice that the first tetrachord of G was G, A, B, C? So we don't have to use the formula for much of the, we can cheat. Okay, so D is going to start out with D, E, F sharp, G. Okay, so you can just copy the second tetrachord of G. Man, if you say tetrachord in any musical context, people are going to be like, anybody who knows music is going to be like, where did you learn that? Okay, it's a pretty obscure thing. I can play tetrachords on my cluster guitar. I'm going to get that and play it right now. Okay, so I'll show you. But anyway, here's D. All right, so we go D, E, F sharp, and G. Okay, Let's continue to make this F chord, and I'll play a tetrachord. All right. Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to say. So, all right. So now we need a whole step up from G. So what's a whole step up from G? First one that gets it right, I'll go ahead and put it up here. Hey, Jim, good to see you. A, that's right. Whole step up from A, because we need another whole step. We're here in the scale. So G to A is this whole step. Now we need another whole step. A to... Oh, it's starting to rain hard. That plays into my story later. So, okay, B. I think I've got 2 stories to tell you now. Oh my God. Who's keeping track of all the stories I have to tell? All right. Everybody loves story time. Very good. Okay, here's where it might get a little hard. B to C is a half step. So we need a whole step. So what can we use to go? There you go, David. Boom. C sharp is the next one. And then the half step up from C sharp is D. So that's full circle. And we have 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. So the key of D has 2 sharps. All right. Very good, Rick. Killing it. Very good, Richard. Okay, let me get my cluster guitar out. I'm going to plug it in. I'll show you some Tetra chords on the guitar. You can't really play them on the guitar because they're... And we've just answered the question if I'm wearing pants or not. So I am wearing pants today. Okay, so this is tuned, I think, closely tuned. This is my cluster guitar. It's one of my cheap Squires. And it's 6 E string, it's 6 E strings are right now tuned to C. Okay, here's what a Tetra chord sounds like. That's an E, a D, an F. I'm sorry, E and an F. So it's cool. Now on piano, it's super easy. If you just lean on a piano, you create a tetrachord. But on guitar, this would be impossible to play on a standard tuned guitar. I could play the next one, but maybe let's see if I can do it. I can do it. So there's G, A, B, C. Love that sound though, isn't that great? I love that sound. Anyway, that's my cluster guitar. I made that up myself. Next, I want to put a sustainer pickup in it so they'll just constantly sustain like one giant E-bow. Okay, so now, what's the next key? We've done D, okay? What's the next key? It's going to have 3 sharps. You probably already assumed that. Yeah, it's kind of got a... Yep, A is the next key, and we already know half of the A scale because the first half of the A scale is the second half of the D scale. Is this making sense, everybody? It's kind of cool, right? I love finding shortcuts. So just copy A, B, C sharp, D from the D scale, the second tetrachord, and put it in the first position of the A scale. A, B, C sharp, D. I'm going to tell you another secret. Once we have a sharp, it never goes away. Now, see, this is getting a little messy. I apologize. I'm using a pretty thick pen. I probably should try to find a thinner tip, but it's totally like math, Frankie. And they say, if you're good at math, you're good at music, or vice versa. And I actually was really good at math. And so it kind of makes sense that I understand this. But yep. Thank you, Jim. You're getting ahead of me, but that's exactly right. I love that you did that. So everybody look at Jim's answer. The next tetrachord, the next 4 notes. Remember, we're not going to lose a sharp, so you almost don't have to think too hard. It's E, D to E, and then F sharp, because we're going to carry that F sharp over, and then G sharp and A. And that finishes out the A scale. So E, F sharp. I try to write cleaner, but it's hard. G sharp, A. So that's 3 sharps. So the key of A has 3 sharps. It's okay, Richard. Okay, so here's the key of C, here's the key of G, here's the key of D, and here, oh, and I got to write this on the circle. In the 3 o'clock position, we have the A, key of A. These are all fifths. C to G to, and in fact, a violin is tuned G, D, A, E, and I think a viola is tuned C, G, D, A. They're tuned to fifths. Yeah, writing it down I think helps because me explaining it, me showing it to you, you writing it. There's 3 levels, 3 different types of learning. Everybody, that's a great thing. What we with homeschooling, we homeschooled all 3 of our kids, and all 3 of them learn completely different. And you really tailor the way kids learn. Like Alex was hands-on. He had to literally get his hands on something to learn it. And that's kind of what this is. You're writing something out. Jack could read it and learn it. Jack's the one that's engineer at JPL. He works on NASA stuff. And then and Alex is a musician like me, totally. But Alex is like picks up so many things. He's got piano. He learns so many things. It's crazy. He's like he just worked like magic tricks. Andrew, he was so inspired by Andrew. I don't know if Andrew's still there, but Andrew is an amazing magician, very actually well-known magician, and he was so inspired by Andrew that he learned a bunch of card tricks. Like in 2 weeks, he had all these really crazy card tricks down. That's his. And then Emma, she learns a different way too. Now at that point, Beth was taking over the learning. So anyway, is there a circle of fifths tuning? Not really. I mean, I could tune a guitar to circle of fifths. That's not a bad idea. Now that you mention it, I'd have to really calculate to see. Because you really wouldn't want to have to tune up that E string any higher than E. So you'd be putting bass strings on it, basically. So if you were to do E and then go down, you'd have an A string, and then you go down from A, you would have, let's see, down a fifth from A would be D string. So you're already substituting the D string for the G string, and it's getting crazy. Okay, so go up a fifth from A, and what's the fifth of A? What's going to be the next key? Yeah, we homeschooled our kids all the way through high school. Yep. Boom, Jim. Boom. Good. You got it. So write E, and then you can write E over here too on your circle. Okay. And maybe later you can do it. You can rewrite this out neater, or maybe on 2 pieces of paper if you want. I'm hoping we can get all of the keys here. Because we're going to have 7 sharp keys and 7 flat keys, so it's going to be 15 total. So we're barely going to make it. Normally, I would write the C scale out twice. We're not going to do that this time. We're just going to refer to this one. That'll save us space. So write out the first part of that E scale. So the second 4 notes of the A scale is the first 4 notes of the E scale. Again, these are called Tetra chords. So the second tetrachord of A is the first tetrachord of E. And that might sound confusing, but I'm going to say it every time, and eventually by the end you'll be telling your significant other. So is that a tetrachord? You'll be like, and they'll be like, I'm sorry, what? Okay, so we have E, F sharp, G sharp, and A. And David, you're working ahead for me, but thank you so much. David is correct. The next group of 4 notes, we want a whole step up from A, which is B. We need a whole step up from B. That's C sharp. We already had that, so we're not going to lose that. So B to C is a half step, but we have to raise C. And notice we're not using D flat. We want to keep it alphabetical. Okay, every letter has to be there. And if we had D flat, then we'd have also D sharp, and you don't want to have D flat and D sharp in the same key signature. I say this all the time, but okay. C sharp, D sharp, and then the last one is E. So we have 4 sharps. So the key of E has 4 sharps. So that's, if you see a key signature and there's 4 sharp signs on the music, okay, like I wrote a piece, I started writing a piece a couple days ago that has 3 flats on it. So you'll learn that 3 flats is the key of E flat. Did anybody catch that? David, no. David, I'm glad you're doing that. No, trust me. But I do worry that I'm going too fast. I don't want to go too fast for people. But this is what we have so far. Yep, Jim caught it. It touched my face. So if you're just tuning in, it's a drinking game. Every time I touch my face, every time I say refer to myself in the third person, or anytime I say I had a band in high school called, you have to take a drink. We also play Is Tom Wearing Pants, but we've already determined that I am wearing pants. Okay. All right. What's the fifth of E? So start on E, count up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The next key is B. All right. So you can, on your circle of fifths, you can write a B. And we're going to know, we already know, I can already fill this out. We're going to have 5 sharps. So we're going to grab the first 4 notes of the B scale or the last 4 notes of the E scale. All right. So we're going to go B, C sharp, D sharp, and E. All right. So up a whole step from E, we need a whole step right here. This is the formula for the major scale. Okay. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. But if you think about it, here's the tetrachord, whole, whole, half, and here's the other one, whole, whole, half, with a whole step in between them. So these are kind of the tetrachords right here. In the formula, you can see the tetrachords right there. They're identical, whole, whole, half, but there's a whole step between them. And David, I'm going to think about that perfect fifth guitar. I do like playing mandolin. I love playing scales on mandolin. I love playing triads on mandolin. Oh my gosh, triads are so much easier on mandolin than they are on guitar. So did I see? I don't know. Okay, and all right. So the next thing we need a whole step up from E. That's F sharp. And then a whole step up from F sharp is G sharp. F sharp to G would be a half step, so we want whole step. And then a whole step up from G sharp is A sharp. Now, if you had a keyboard in front of you, you might see that easier. You might just have to take my word for it. But there is the B scale. Okay. Yep, Jim, let me check your work. 100% correct. Very good. Did you know that already, Jim? Jim Horst, did you already know that? Or did you just learn it now? So you can check your work against Jim's because he's correct. I know. It's crazy, right? All those sharps. But the thing is, when you write it in music, part of the reason this is like reading music makes this kind of easy in some ways is the key signatures at the beginning of the bar. And so just every F is sharp no matter what. Every G is sharp. If it says, 5 sharps, whatever. Oh, you're refreshing. Okay. All right. Oh, good. So you didn't know this before. That's awesome. So you're doing great. All right. So what's the next key? What's the fifth up from B? Boop, boop, boop. So we're at the bottom of the clock right now. F sharp. Very good, David. So if you count up 5, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you get F sharp. I'm going to try to squeeze an F sharp in here. And without even thinking, I'm going to put 6 sharps over here because I know the next key is going to have 6 sharps. And, I don't play in F sharp very often. Yeah, Verdi, I don't believe you. You've been right on so many things. I'm not believing you for 1 minute. And that doesn't look like a 6. And that looks even less like a 6. Ugh, anyway, it's hard to write with these pens like holding the paper up. Okay, so we're going to take the second group of 4 notes from the B major scale, and that's the first 4 notes. So the F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B are the first 4 notes of the key of F sharp. We only have one more to do in the sharp keys. So let not your heart be troubled. F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, And then a whole step up from B is C sharp. A whole step up from C sharp is D sharp. Okay, here's where we're going to have a whole step up from D sharp is F, but we can't have F. We're in the key of F sharp. So we're going to have to call it E sharp. Somebody said E sharp yesterday, just as a joke. It exists. E sharp and F are the same note. They're in harmonic, but we need to keep the letters, every letter represented, okay? And if you're wondering why, the reason why is because you would not want to have a song on music paper. If you're talking about tab, it's irrelevant. You're not even thinking necessarily about the names of the notes. And if I played for example, if I played an F and you answered E sharp, if I said, what note is this? And you said E sharp, you'd still be right. Okay. But the reason we don't want to have F and F sharp in the same key is because every time you need F, you're going to have to put a natural sign in front of it, because then every time you want F sharp, so your music's going to be a lot messier. You're going to have a lot of what's called accidentals. Let me give you an example. If a song is in F sharp and it has 6 sharps and no note in the song, no melody, no chord, nothing ever leaves the key, then other than right here, it's just going to be music. It's just going to be notes and no sharps or flats or natural signs anywhere in there, because you already covered all that. It's shorthand. You already covered that with the key signature. Now, technically, proper music notation would have the key signature at every line. Okay, so you'll see a key signature. If I pulled out a piece of music that had it, well, see if I don't know if we did the Louis Milan stuff. I still don't know if that copyright's been taken down. Let's see. Okay, so here's an example. This is in D, and you can see there's 2 sharps there. There's 2 sharps here. There's 2 sharps here. Blah blah blah, so on and so forth. Now, this is not purely this song isn't purely diatonic, but for the first, well, other than one accidental, an accidental is any sharp or flat or natural sign that occurs in the piece. Okay, so that's when I say a term accidental, that could refer to a sharp, a flat, or a natural sign, which takes it back. So if the song has an F sharp in it, like we're in the key of G and there's an F sharp, and you want an F natural, so you want to play a G7 chord. Dirty pots. Horrible. And you'd have to write a natural sign. I'll show you what a natural sign looks like later. All right. So we got one more sharp to do, and then we're done with sharps. I'm wondering, should we turn this into a 2-day lesson and do the flats tomorrow? What do you think? Or should we just press on? Because flats are going to be a little different. We won't have the same tetrachord thing going on with the flats. So, okay. So the next key, and this is again, yeah, accidentals happen when I play guitar. Okay, Harley, I think that's what we're going to do. That way we can draw another circle, and then we'll have more room. Okay, I think what we're going to do is we're going to do the flat keys tomorrow, and we can do some more. Oh no, Rick, I'm fine. I'm actually today. I don't have much to do, although I did promise Andrew that I'd work on his song. Okay, so we take the tetrachord. The first 4 notes of the F sharp chord is the first tetrachord. The second 4 notes is the second tetrachord. C sharp is going to be those 4. So we're going to have C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp. Okay. A whole step up from that is G sharp. Whole step up, A sharp. A whole step up, B sharp. And a whole half step up is C sharp. Yes, we have a B sharp, which is really, I think there's a joke that the punchline is B sharp. But anyway, so you can see we have all, and of course that's all 7. Now, again, this is 7 sharps, this is not 8 sharps. We're not counting the C sharp twice, okay? So basically what we did there was if you kind of, what we did to the C, to keep this formula true, if we sharp the C, we're going to sharp the D, the E, the F. We're going to have to sharp everything, and that's exactly what we did. So C sharp major scale is just a half step above this, but it just looks like a mess because we had to sharp every one of these notes. So the circle of fifths, the order of sharps, we go, oh, why did that pop up? Okay, so C, up a fifth was G, 1 sharp. Up a fifth from G is D, 2 sharps. Up a fifth from D was A, and that was 3 sharp key. Up a fifth was E. Up a fifth from E is B, and that was B was how many? 5 sharps. Up a fifth from B was F sharp, and up a fifth from F sharp was C sharp. Okay, so tomorrow we'll do flat. So we'll make this a 2-day lesson. And then what I'm going to do is, well, I don't know. I'm still trying to decide if I want to go, because we're going back to chord theory. We're going to go back to chord theory. We learned sevenths yesterday. So if you go back 2 days, you can learn triad theory. We took a C major scale and we found all the triads in C major. And then the next day we did all the seventh chords in the key of C. So that's yesterday's lesson. So that would be 18 and 19. And I'm putting that in, it'll say daily lesson number, whatever. And in all caps, I put for the first 12 days, I think we did caged stuff. So if you want to learn about the caged method, go back. We have 60 people watching right now. So I guarantee there are people that didn't watch that. And I'm really trying to kind of make it simple, but some of these you might have to start at the beginning of the section so that you kind of can stay up on board. And these I intended to go a half an hour, not even close. So the lessons tend to be about 30 to 60 minutes, and then there's just 30 to 60 more minutes of me just like talking to the screen because I'm lonely. And and I'm not doing this for you. I've said this every day. I swear, you guys, I'm doing this. You guys are ministering to me. I mean, you are helping me get through this. So it makes me feel somewhat wanted to have you out there. So let's see. Let me catch up on some. So accidental is any note that's not in the key. Exactly. Although when you use a natural sign, sometimes that's getting you back to the key. Okay. Yeah. Tomorrow. Yeah, and I've got work to do today. I already did one thing that I was going to do, so I did it before. I've got a couple other things I want to do. So, and then who knows what kind of work's going to come in today? I may be done. Hopefully, I get more work coming in. So yeah, if you are in the key of C sharp, you will get a B sharp. Oh, if you C sharp, you will B sharp. Ah, Rick, I get it. Okay, boom. You must be a dad. I'm assuming that's because that's a dad in the world B flat. What is it? Well, it's a piano fell down a mine shaft. You had one. What key was it? B flat minor or something. I don't know. Some stupid joke like that. Yeah, the caged method. Exactly. See, Dennis, that's what we talked about in the first 12 days. And then I did, I think, 5 days, and nobody saw me touch my face. You want story time. All right. I had 2 stories in there, though. I don't remember the second one. I remember the first one, the adventure. It's a pretty lame adventure, though, you guys. I touched my face. I'm going to do it again so you can see it. I can't even get the joke right. Lance, you're right. A flat minor was the punchline. See, I'm not a big joke teller. I really, I should do. Oh my gosh. So I have a joke I could actually tell. I could tell it in 2 hours. I have a joke that literally could be 2 hours long. It's the longest joke in the world with the shortest punchline. So, maybe I'll tell it, but I won't make it last 2 hours. But I could tell the joke in 5 minutes probably if I had to. Against it, yeah. I took 2. Oh, ask me again. I'm sorry. 2 stories today. Lesson learned and how I started writing screenplays. Oh, that's right. Those are the 2 stories. Okay. So we're gonna see people drop off here now because I don't have a guitar. See, if I sat here with a guitar in my hand, they would think I was teaching guitar. See that? Now people tuning in think, oh, he's talking about guitar, and I'm not going to talk about guitar. Okay, the first story. So Beth and I went for our walk this morning. It was not raining. It was misting, but it rained really hard last night. Apparently, I didn't know. And so we're walking. We got, I think, 7,500 steps in before I log in, and we're walking up the street, and some of my neighbors, and we just moved into this house a year. We've been here almost a year. Our first house, and we've not lived in, this is a new neighborhood for us. And I noticed there were some trash cans that were knocked over like backwards. And today's trash day on our street, and they were knocked over. So I'm just like, I'll help my neighbors out, and I'll put their trash cans upright and put some of the trash back if it's fell out or whatever. So I'm doing that. We go up another couple houses, and there's another one tipped over. I'm like, what? Kids are knocking over. What are kids doing? Are they knocking over trash cans? That's such a I was going to say word, but I'm not going to say it. But it's jerk move it's a jerk move to knock over trash cans. So we go for our walk, and then we get off course, and we go into neighborhoods that don't have trash day, so there's no trash can. Anyway, and our street is kind of on a slight incline, not really bad. So we get home, and I'm like, I took the trash out last night. I know I did. I remember I did. And our trash cans aren't anywhere in front of our house. I'm like, where are our trash cans? And so we start walking down the street, and there, 2 blocks away, are a bunch of trash cans that someone pulled up onto the sidewalk out of the street, right by the storm drain. And they were like, we have 3 trash cans. We have a trash can for non-recyclables. We have a recyclable one. We have a green one for the garden stuff. And so there were probably 3 or 4 garden ones, three recyclables and 3 trash. So this happened to other people, not us. And I'm like, I know our lids on our trash cans are really crappy and broken and everything. So I went ahead and grabbed the ones that looked the worst and just so we were like walking up the street, 2 blocks up the street with these trash cans. And I mean, I don't know if they tipped over because they were full. And that's how we knew they were ours. We open up and go, well, yeah, that's our trash. And, nothing, a lot of Diet Coke and Starbucks cups and things like that. So I don't know if somebody actually put the trash back in or the leaves and stuff. I can't imagine. I'm just assuming they kind of went down the street like this. And I was told that, when we first moved in, that could happen, but it was more likely to happen on the other side of the street. And I had seen that, like, the other side of the street became a river, and they have actually like concrete slabs behind the curb that they can actually put them on. The trucks come up, and that's above curb level. The houses all across the street all have that, but we don't have that. And I thought, oh, well, we don't have an issue with that. Just keep it away from the storm drain. And so I pushed it away from the storm drain. And I basically made it so, so the water could get through. Well, I didn't do it far enough, I guess. And so that it just went. Yeah. So Rick, where you're at. Yeah. So, in California, you got a lot of hills and mountains and stuff like that. In Pasadena, it was really bad, but we lived in an apartment building. We had a giant dumpster in the back of the building. So that was never an issue. So it was kind of a homeowner lesson and kind of boring. It's like that's a lame story. Not nearly as cool as Beth putting out a fire the other day and beating the firemen. That was a cool story. That was like 3 days ago. So this one was just me hauling trash cans up the street. So it's just totally different in the rain. So now the sun's coming out. So I guess that little bit of rain we just had now wasn't that strong. Okay. Second story, talking about screenplays. And so this was probably 12, 13 years ago. I was at church and hanging out between services because we had 5 services. And so there was a lot of time to hang out. And I'm playing guitar. And one of the singers, her name's Babsy. And she, at the time, was working for, there were 2 people at Universal Pictures that basically made the movies happen. One was the person that green-lighted the script. If they got a script in, they would green-light it. And that means, basically giving it a go. And then the second person would find the financing for it. So, a lot of times movies, Disney has done this for years. My stepdad actually bought one of the first, what's it called? Limited liability corporations they create for making a movie. And so they can get a lot of money and a lot of investors. And if the less money they put in themselves, the better. They have less exposure. All right. Did I? Verdi. Okay, that deserves a sip right there, Verdi. All right, yeah, but I knocked about 7 people off on that view count there just talking about trash cans. Now I'm talking about making movies. Um, and then, so there's a person that greenlights, and there's a person that gets the financing together. And Babsy was the assistant to the person that got the financing. And I knew that, and she worked at Universal, and so we're talking about movies. And at the time, I think there were a bunch of movies out, but they were all either sequels, prequels, or remakes of some TV show or a remake of some old movie. There was like nothing original out there. And we were lamenting the fact that Hollywood, there's even an episode of The Simpsons where they're like supposedly, in a boardroom with Fox Television, and all the Fox Television executives are sitting in a boardroom. Quick, we need ideas for a new series. And everybody gets out their mini TVs and start going through all the other TV stations to get a new idea. It's like, that's kind of the perception. And The Simpsons, they were making fun of that. And, but that certainly was at that moment in time when she said that, when we were talking about it, she was pointing that, and we were, there were so many movies out that were just derivative. There was just nothing, didn't feel like there was anything new. And I said, oh, I have lots of story ideas that are original. And she goes, oh, sure you do. I said, well, I have one. It's like the story about this guy who's a songwriter, because I'm a songwriter. So it's kind of, when you write generally, especially when you start writing, oftentimes you're writing things you're familiar with. So the story that I wrote was basically, the story wasn't even on paper at this point. It was just in my head. And I'm explaining the story to her where there's this guy that's poor. He works at he's a janitor at Burbank High School. And during the days he's working there, and at night he gets home and he writes songs. And his wife is a waitress at Islands, and she goes to work in the evening. And they have a little kid and a little girl. And so he puts her to bed, and then he sits in his living room writing songs, gets his guitar out, kind of like John Mayer or something like that, just writing songs. And he's got a next door neighbor living in an apartment building like I lived in at the time, and the next door neighbor. And I was envisioning me sitting in my sofa writing songs, and somebody on the other side of the wall hearing me write songs. And this neighbor, this is story time for sure. Oh, that's fine, Pepper. You can catch up. Nope, it's a pretty easy lesson, I think. So anyway, he's playing the songs, he's writing songs, and his neighbor gets home. His neighbor just happens to be a second engineer, or maybe more of a gopher at a major recording studio. Okay. And then the neighbor gets home from work after working all day in the music business, but really just being a gopher, emptying trash cans, going and getting food, and going and getting, coffees and things like that, whatever anybody needs, that's what the second or third engineer would do. Sometimes setting up computers or sitting there, making sure everything's working. But that person, he gets home and he sits down, and all of a sudden he hears the guy next door singing. He's like, oh God, it's just awful. And so that's kind of the setup. And then what happens is then one night, maybe a couple nights later, the guy gets home from his studio job. The young kid, his aspiration is to be an engineer or a producer or whatever. He's listening to the song and he's going, that's not bad. And I have this visual where the camera goes from from here, the guy's writing and singing, playing guitar, and the camera just goes like this to the other side of the wall. And there's a guy that's listening. He mutes the TV, he mutes ESPN or whatever. And he's listening. He goes, that's actually not bad. And the camera goes back, and the guy sings. And the guy is writing a verse, and he's pounding a verse. He comes across the chorus, and it's like he gets to the chorus. When you write, a lot of times you get to that second section, and you hit a wall, and you're like, dang it. You try a chord, and it doesn't inspire anything. So now you got to do the whole verse again. So you play the whole verse, you get to the chorus, and you hit that wall again. This time you hit the right chord. It inspires the right melody. And then it takes you to the next thing. And that's oftentimes how I would write. I would start with some lyrics and some melody ideas, and then just build on that. The chords, the strumming, something would inspire. And so that's what's happening. So the camera's going back and forth between these two, one guy trying to write and the other guy trying to like chill out after work. But he busts through, comes up with this chorus, and I even have the song written. I wrote the song a long time ago, and he gets to the chorus, and the guy next door goes, "Wow, that's actually," because keep in mind this guy is in the studio all the time working with major artists because it's a major studio. He goes, "That's actually a really nice chorus," and he's like, and then the camera goes back and forth, and now the guy's singing. He's got the chorus down, and the guy next door is starting to sing with him. And then he's starting to harmonize, and he's essentially hearing the harmony, the chords. He's learning the words and the melody. And so, at the end of the night, it's kind of like, okay, that was kind of a cool song. They still have never really met each other. They've seen each other in the courtyard or going to the cars or whatever, but they don't know each other. And yeah, I remember that scene. Actually, that's true. I'm not referencing that, but so that day, actually, in the studio before this scene happened, I forgot, but basically, and this story was fairly well worked out in my head, believe it or not, and before I actually put it to paper. So, and this is only the beginning of the story, but because it's a story within a story. I'm telling you the screenplay idea that I was telling Babsy. And so that day though at work, this second engineer finally got some real responsibilities. The head engineer said, "Hey, look, we've got this big artist coming in, and let's just say it's Rihanna, okay? Someone like that, someone that big, coming in tomorrow. I need you to set up for a vocal session. So would you set up this microphone, make sure the baffles up, blah, blah, blah." Okay. Well, then this scene happens where the camera's going back and forth between the two apartments. I'm losing people real fast now. Okay. And then, so the guy, the next day goes to work. He goes to work early because he's really excited with this new responsibility. He gets a studio. He gets everything set up in 15 minutes, and he's still got like 15 minutes to kill before anybody's going to show up. So he sits down at the piano and he starts noodling on that song, and he starts playing the verse and the chord, playing the chords from the verse, and he starts playing the chorus, and he starts singing. And here's what's interesting though: he gets a chord wrong in the verse, and he gets a chord wrong in the chorus, and he gets a lyric wrong. One of the lyrics is wrong, and he gets a melody wrong. But everything he got wrong, his intuitions were right. And he actually made the song better, like the verse is better because he changed one chord, one lyric, and one melody. And the chorus is better because he changed one lyric and one melody and one word or a chord. And so it ends up being a better song because of what he did. Well, he's just like kind of, he's just messing with it. He's not thinking anything about it. All of a sudden he hears a voice behind him. A woman's voice says, "That's a beautiful song. Are there more where that came from?" And he's kind of caught off guard. He turns around. It's freaking Rihanna. And this is my story. This is my screenplay. And it's, some artist as big as Rihanna. And he turns around and he goes, doesn't lie. He says, "Yeah, there are more where that comes from." And she's like, I need a ballad for the record. We have another space open on the record. We need to fill it. Would you mind if we recorded that song? Well, the main engineer is in the studio, in the booth, and he's pretty pissed because that's not something you're supposed to do. You're not really supposed to approach talent, with songs, although I do it all the time. And so that's how I did Yellow Raincoat with Justin. It was totally one of those moments where I'd start jamming on an idea and he goes, "Hey, Tom, can I write to that?" And I'm like, I don't know, Justin. but totally, I was just messing with him. And he goes, "Really?" And I said, "No, please write to it." And we wrote Yellow Raincoat that day, like in a 4 or 5 hour period. Bye, Pepper. Sorry, you got to study. You got like 800 tests. Yes, promo star, you're late, but you can catch up. You can watch backwards, I think. Anyway, we're done with the lesson. Now it's story time. Everybody wants me to tell a story. So this was the story. I'm telling this story, and basically what it becomes a movie about plagiarism. The reason that it was a completely original idea was because no one in Hollywood wants to make a movie about plagiarism because it's so rampant. So that's why that subject matter has never really been touched. And so what happens is this second engineer now is going to lunch with these people. He gets offered a publishing deal. Literally within a day, he's given an advance, or, he's told he's going to get a $50,000 advance for this song that's going to be on a record. And he's caught up in this. He didn't mean to steal some guy's song, but he now he's where he wants to, he's in the crowd he wants to be. And the main engineer's kind of ticked at him, but at the same time. So now he's got people coming to him for songs because this song becomes a #1 hit. And so what I did was I also did another thing that you are never supposed to do in movies, which is piss off your audience. And so what I do is I set up all these scenarios because so the song gets recorded by Rihanna, but it's completely unrecognizable from this acoustic, almost Bob Dylan, John Mayer version that the guy was singing in his apartment. So the guy that next door kind of steals the song, changes enough things to actually make it a better song, but then it gets produced out to be a pop hit. And so I've got another scene. The camera's going to do this. Instead of going this way, it's going to do this. The guy that wrote the song is up on the roof of the Burbank gym because he's a janitor, and he's tarring the roof, which is like the worst job I could imagine doing. Like in the summer, tarring the roof of a gym at a high school, right? So he's tarring the roof. He's doing that, and he's singing his song. He's like, well, if I'm going to sit up, I might as well sing my song. So he sings his song, and this is the name of the movie. The song that the janitor wrote was called "Let Life Happen," and the song that the guy next door changed it to was "Let Love Happen," and that's the name of the movie. But the name of the movie is actually "Let Life Happen," but life is crossed out and love is put above it. So I thought it was a really cute idea, and I actually wrote a song called "Let Life Happen." And I wanted to actually record 2 versions of every song so that the soundtrack album would probably have 10 songs on it, 5 different songs done just acoustic, and then the same song done differently, more pop produced. I thought it would be a great idea. You could do a whole soundtrack album and everything. So, and this is all, this movie, the screenplay that I wrote is all copyrighted with the Writers Guild and everything. I'm joined up with the Writers Guild and all that. So it's all protected. But anyway, if somebody wants to make it, steal it, it would be bad. That would be like ironic. So he's up there doing tarring the roof, right? And the camera's on him. And then the camera pans down and the school bell rings, and like out of this classroom, about 5 girls come streaming out. And right at that moment, he was singing the chorus. They're singing the chorus to this brand new #1 Rihanna hit. They're all singing this "Let Love Happen" or whatever. So, so it's like the audience is like, "What? That's so unfair. Oh my God." And I set up all these scenes like that, like they're driving down the road in a car and it's on the radio and he changes the channel. He doesn't hear it. Or his wife, the one that works at Islands as a waitress, her sister is very wealthy or rich, and she shows up, and she shows up, and she comes to their house or whatever, and she's saying, oh, kind of making her feel really small for being poor and not having a lot of money. And then her phone rings, and her ringer was that song on the phone. It's like, so the audience in this movie is just gonna be so mad they're just gonna hate the movie, And so anyway, I know I got to make this movie. So anyway, to get back to the real story of this, Babsy's hearing me tell this story at church. We're just sitting like in between services, like waiting, killing time. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, you need to write a treatment." And I'm like, "What's a treatment?" And she goes, "That's like a 5-page synopsis of the story so that it can be maybe approved or somebody can write a screenplay." And I go, "Okay." So that night, Sunday night, I wrote a treatment. Literally sat down, laptop. I didn't have any work. I was kind of like, it was really slow time at that point. So perfect. So I'm just sitting in my lap, my little corner chair there, and on my laptop, and I write a treatment. And I'm trying to figure out, I don't even know I didn't even read. I took her word for what a treatment was. So I didn't even read what a treatment was. I just kind of went, "Oh, okay, that's." And so I started. And one of the things I did in a treatment was I did some dialogue examples, because I hate phony dialogue in movies. So much dialogue in movies sound really just not like dialogue like we would if we were talking, And so I I made some of the dialogue. I felt like better dialogue, and so I included that in treatment. So I sent that to her Sunday night. Monday morning, she goes to the office where she works for the money guy that gets the money for green-lighted scripts at Universal Pictures. And she almost immediately emails me back and says, "This is fantastic. You need to write a script." And I'm like, okay, I don't know how to do that. She goes, "No, you should totally try to write a script." And so I looked up on, this. Now I'm looking up, I'm going, what, how do I write a script? So I pull up scripts online. I'm looking at them. And I'm going, oh, okay. So they use capital letters for this and everything's centered. And so I don't have the script. I have the script writing software now. It's called Final Draft. It's great software. But I just had Pages or Word or something like that. Oh, I did take it. I did touch my face. Is it relative? Yes. B minor pentatonic scale work. I played the three triads D, F major, and G. I have to think about that. Why does B minor pentatonic wouldn't work over an F note, because a B minor pentatonic would have an F sharp in it. But other than that, it would be the same. So B minor pentatonic would totally work over D, G, and A, just so you know. So anyway, squirrel. No, that's on point. This is totally off point. So I'm going, okay, so let me try to write a script. So I sit down. This is Monday night. Okay. So Sunday night, I write the treatment. Monday morning, she's like, "This is amazing. You need to read the script." So Monday afternoon, still no work, nothing to do. So I'm sitting in my corner and I start writing a script, and I'm having to format it to look like a script. Final Draft, which is script writing software, will format it automatically. So it looks professional right away. But I'm sitting there, I'm like adjusting, everything to try to make it look pretty. But I managed to crank out 20 pages. Now, a typical movie, if it's about an hour and a half, that's 90 minutes. It's on average, typically about a page a minute. So if you've got a 90-minute movie, it's probably a 90 minutes or 90-page script. That's not always true, but it's standard kind of guesstimate. You could have a script where the first sentence in the script is "the Battle of the Bulge," and that could literally take up 15 minutes of movie right there, and then it goes into dialogue. But basically, this, it was kind of like that. So I wrote about 20 pages, which was about 20 minutes, and I saved it as a PDF and I sent it to her Monday night. Tuesday morning, she gets it and reads it, and she types back, "I hate you. I've been trying to write a script for 10 years and I can't get past page 10. And she goes, "You've already written 20 pages of a script and I can't wait to hear the next 20. She goes, "I'm dying right now. Can you, so literally that Tuesday, I wrote the next 20 pages. By Friday, I'd written the entire script. In 5 days, I wrote the entire first draft, almost 90 pages. I think it was 86 pages of a script for this story, and she was totally blown away. So that's kind of it. So that was the first script. It was kind of a drama. I had some people write. Oh, someone said, "Oh, you need to turn it into a comedy." I got it to a few people that really liked it. I actually had what's called coverage done on it, which means someone who reads scripts for a living, first, second drafts, does like a grade on it. And hated it, and the only reason it was sent, because I had a friend that she works in the industry, and she sent it off for coverage just because she wanted to. And usually scripts that get sent off for coverage are considered, and this was my first script. It wasn't even written in Final Draft. And this guy that was doing coverage was so mad. She wouldn't send me what he wrote because she thought my feelings would be hurt. But he was so mad that they would even consider this script, because every person that does coverage in Hollywood that writes, basically synopses and reviews of scripts in Hollywood, and they also do that with books, and they get paid, $50 a script or $75 for a book or $100 or something like that. They're all aspiring script writers. So when a script comes across that is really, really, really bad and they hate it, they get really mad because it's like, well, why can't my scripts get sent off for coverage, or why can't I finish my script or whatever? So the review was so bad that my friend, she didn't want me she didn't want to send it to me. In fact, like a couple months later, like, hey, did you ever get any notes from that script? And she goes, I did. I said, well, were you ever going to forward it to me? She goes, I didn't want to. And so she forwarded it to me like straight F's across the board, right? But there were some of the things he said. There was not enough angst. There was not enough, like the main character was too good. I'm like, well, I mean, it kind of patterned him after me, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I'm too good, but it was kind of like one of those things where it's like, well, what's wrong with having? Why does every character have to have a dark side? Every movie doesn't have to be Batman, and so it's kind of like, okay, so he hated that. Then there were a couple other things he hated that did happen later in the script. So what it told me was he never read the script. He read 20, 30, 40 pages and could clearly, because he does read scripts literally for a living, whoever this person was, could clearly tell this was a very much a beginner script writer. It was my first script, and I wasn't even using the proper software. I was having to format everything by hand. So I get it. I understand that would be, oh, nice, David. That's cool. So David says, I had a 9th grade final paper that was a script with 3 full lyrical songs. I think the whole thing was like 20 to 25 pages. I have a friend, Michael Shapiro, who does 10-minute musicals. And so the scripts on those are probably 10 pages long. And he's actually gotten known for that. He's traveled all over the world doing them. They have contests and things like that. And he's it's kind of cool. So I've actually played on a couple of them soundtrack wise, and I've actually performed on a couple of them locally when he does. Really, Diane, is this interesting at all? Yeah. F. Take a sip. Oh, sip, because I got an F. Yep. That's right, Verdi. Every sharp key has an F sharp in it. That's right. Okay. So once in the sharp keys, and this is true with the flat keys too, once you have that flat, the next flat key is going to have that other one too. And the next flat key is going to have, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flats, etc. So we're going to do this flat part of the circle of fifths. So let me hold up today's lesson, what we did today, which is kind of really sloppy and poor penmanship. Okay, this is the circle of fifths lesson. We're going to do part 2 tomorrow. We'll do the flat keys tomorrow. This took a while. So it took about 35, 40 minutes. So I kind of want to just spread it out a little bit. And maybe if you want to rewrite that again today at some point to give you a little bit deeper absorption of the knowledge. So let's see. Sounds like a review I read once. The reviewer would never give a glowing review of this type of music. Yeah. Well, how many people that write, or do reviews for a living are frustrated that they're not doing what they're reviewing for a living? I remember, I think it was Frank Zappa who said, writing about music is like dancing about architecture. It's really, you cannot, with the written word, truly express music or truly convey what the music can convey. You can control, you can convey with one note so much more than you can sometimes convey with 1,000 words. And I think that's what he was. Oh yeah, I'll hold up the sheet again. Sorry. So here's what we did today. And then here's the keys. C, no flats, 0. There's a 0 over here for 0 sharps, but also no flats. That's the key we did all the mode lessons on. G, 1 sharp. The key of D was a 5th up. So we counted up a 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and got the next key. In the key of G, count up G, A, B, C, D. You get the next key. And then we learned a new word today, Tetra Chords. Did you catch it, Verdi? Were you able to? The word was Tetra Chord. I think it may be two words, or it may be one word or whatever. But if you look at the C, D, E, F, that's a tetrachord, and then G, A, B, C is the same tetrachord. It's whole, whole, half, and then another whole, whole, half with a hole between them. So all of these scales are made up of 2 tetrachords. And for a shortcut to save time, we realize that the second tetrachord of C is the first tetrachord of G. The second tetrachord of G, which is D, E, F sharp, G, was the first tetrachord of D. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen in the flat keys. It probably will happen. Let's see. It's going to happen the other way around. So the first tetrachord of C is going to be the second tetrachord of F. So all we have to do is figure out the first 4 notes of F, and then we can just copy the first 4 notes of C to finish off F, okay? So we'll do the same thing tomorrow on this. And then we'll get back to our chord theory lessons. We talked about, and again, just so you know, in the title of these, it's saying daily lesson number, today's number 20, and in all caps I put, after that, I put the circle of fifths. So you can see easily what we talked about in at least, 12% of the actual video. But everybody likes story time. So anyway, on the screenplay thing, I've actually written, I've finished 3 features and one television series. We have a drinking game. Every time I touch my face, you have to take a drink. Or if I refer to myself in the third person, or if I say I had a band in high school called, any of those 3, you have to take a sip or a drink. So yeah, 2 cups caught it. I'm sure you're drinking coffee, right? Diane caught it. Jim caught it. But not only that, I probably started like 15 other screenplays and TV series. One TV series is one that I started, and I've got some people interested in it, but I don't have the right people interested in it. One of the things I'm trying to do is actually put together a team to pitch it. But basically, this one is a pilot. I have the pilot episode done, part of the second episode done, but I have what's called a show Bible, and I have the next 20 episodes mapped out. And what it is, it's kind of like Mad Men. I loved Mad Men. I love period pieces. So it's Mad Men, but it's LA 1970 music business. So basically a recording studio. So they were an ad agency. So I'm trying to keep it to something I'm familiar with. And basically I have the studio where it's 3 different rooms. In one room you have, okay, you want a story? I'll tell you the first scene. The first scene from this movie is basically you got 2 guys kneeling in a hallway with a carpeted wall. That's back in the 70s. That they were carpeting walls up, for sound absorption. A hallway with carpeted walls, and the cameras down there, and they're passing cables through a wall, right? And there's a door right there. And this one guy who's clearly older, in his mid-30s, in this young guy that's like 20 years old, and they're passing cables through the wall. And all of a sudden, you don't see, because they're kneeling on the ground, you see this figure walk past them, okay, and go through the door. And the older guy just kind of keeps doing his job, but the young kid, the 20-year-old that's getting the cables, pulling them through, he says, "Are you kidding me? That was blank and Paul McCartney." And that's the first scene. So it's like, I got Paul McCartney in one studio. And then originally, the way I wrote it was I had Van Morrison in the other studio. And then I had the Wrecking Crew recording like TV show themes and TV show music in the other studio. But I changed it, got rid of Van Morrison, because I didn't want to have whoever financed this TV show. And this is all, registered with the Screenwriters Guild, and updated and everything. All the variations. There's been many, many, many versions of this script. But I didn't want to have to get the permission to use music from 2 different artists. It's very, 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 very expensive. You had a band in high school called Tetra Chords. Huh? Hey, I didn't say I had a band in high school, so that doesn't count. AJ said it. So I decided it'd be better actually to have a rock band in the other studio, and that way you could have all sorts of debauchery and things like that. That would be, you're not blaming. So that would be an unheard of a rock band that gets signed, just make up a name. I created a band. Actually started, I figured it would be really fun. It would be like a Zeppelin kind of thing. Maybe Zeppelin meets Judas Priest or something like that. So in 1970, Los Angeles rock band in Studio 2 and recording, their album, and they would be recurring characters for the whole season. And so I could have all sorts of drama using them. So that was much better than having different artists, because I was thinking, one week I could have Stevie Wonder and everything, but you dream too big on these things and they're going to say, no, we can't afford to buy the Stevie Wonder catalog for one episode or whatever. So the same thing with the Paul McCartney. And this first episode, episodes have names. The first episode's called Uncle Albert, and every episode name had a double meaning. So Paul was recording the song Uncle Albert in that studio, but also there was an Uncle Albert referenced in this episode that propelled it to the next episode. So it's a lot of fun. I just love creating stories. One of the things that I've come to realize with writing screenplays or even stories is that you're kind of like God. You're creating people out of thin air. You're creating backstories, history. You're creating future. You can create entire worlds. You can write a movie. You could do, like what Tolkien did, and write entire dialects and languages and scripts. What Tolkien did for Lord of the Rings is just phenomenal. I don't know if you've read those books or the Silmarillion. Just unbelievable detail that he went to. So it's a lot of fun. And this, music in 1970 is a lot of fun. And I, grabbed lots of, there's lots of, I grabbed a lot of headlines from 1970 so I could work those into it, just like Mad Men did. So I really love Mad Men and the way, stylized and everything like that. So I thought it'd be really fun to show LA in 1970. So that was my TV screenplay that I wrote, teleplay. And that one that could actually still happen. And I wrote the theme for it already, and for the pitch, all that stuff. And then, but I wrote a thriller, and maybe I'll tell that story sometime. And that one I finished. And then I wrote kind of the thriller is about an FBI profiler who solves serial killings. And then I wrote a comedy, and the comedy, that was the hardest of the three. And the reason the comedy was the hardest was because I'm losing viewers here. The comedy was the hardest because one of the things I do, I don't know, this is what scriptwriters do, but I do is, I'll put down a script for days, weeks, months, whatever, years. And then I'll go, I want to work on that one. And so you end up you have to read the whole thing to kind of go, what did I already say? What's been happening? What is everybody's names? All that stuff. Well, with a comedy, after you've read a joke 5 or 6 times, it stops being funny. So you start doubting every gag in the movie. And so that one was the hardest to write. That one I do have copyrighted also, but I don't want to say it because I do think this one could also be made because I think it's really funny. But now, who I originally envisioned for the characters, the 2 main characters in it, I probably would change. But also, consequently, I sent all of these ideas and scripts to Babsy, and every one of them, she was like even more mad at me for coming up with something that's completely original. I've never seen a movie about that. I've never seen a movie about this. So every one of them, the only one that the TV series is a little bit derivative because it's kind of like, actually there were shows that came out afterwards. And there was a show on, I think it was HBO or Showtime called Vinyl that actually came out, was done, and it was produced by Scorsese, and I think Mick Jagger was one of the producers. And the girl that sent out my one script for treatment, she's the one that sent me. She sent me the posting she sent me a screenshot of a posting. They were looking for actors for this show, and they described the show. And she said, "This show sounds exactly like your your recording studio show." And I said, "Really?" And she goes, "Yeah." She said, "Did you get that out?" I said, "Yeah, I sent it to a few people." And she said, "You probably shouldn't do that." And I said, "Oh crap." So the show was kind of a bust. And there was a couple shows, Empire. People would go, "Oh, it's like Empire." I said, "Nothing like Empire," and it really was nothing like Vinyl. I saw the first episode of Vinyl, and I went, my show's really not about Vinyl, and Empire were more about the label, and mine is more about the grunt work of recording that scene because it's something I'm familiar with. So it was just kind of fun, and I just fun to have the Wrecking Crew in there. I had some of the characters like Tommy Tedesco. I've told you about Tommy Tedesco before. He was one of the characters in there, but of course I use a different name. I had Carol Kay. She's amazing. She was the only girl really in the Wrecking Crew, and she was the bass player that played on every, let's see what. She played the bass on Beat Goes On and everything. So, all right. So, all right. So now, okay, I'm going to read every single chat. No, I'm kidding. Kathy, what do I need to catch up on? Is there anything I need to see here? 53 hit like. Yeah, we got 42 now. It's definitely dwindled off, but it's pretty cool. Did we see 60? I think we touched 60 at one point. That's pretty amazing. Thank you, everybody. Again, this is for me. This isn't for you guys. This really, I look forward to this every day. This is day 20. Now, day 50, hopefully we won't be looking forward to. On a good news, apparently Germany is going to open back up for business. April 19th is their plan, I think, is what I read, which is awesome because they've seen a big decline. Of all the countries that were hardest hit, they had the lowest percentage count. And I do think that the wearing our masks out in public is going to be a kind of a normal thing for a while, especially if you're sick. I mean, I've been to Asia. Well, I've been to Japan, and I've been to, it's Asia and South Korea. And I noticed that particularly there, if people were wearing masks, and I thought, oh man, everybody's a germaphobe here. But it's usually people that were sick that were wearing masks. It's just courtesy, and it's because the populations are so on top of each other in Japan. It's probably going to be the new norm in New York for sure. The case count and death count in New York versus Los Angeles, New York City versus Los Angeles, is almost 8-1. And my understanding is that 8 million people use public transportation in New York City, and only 1 million people use public transportation in Los Angeles. So my thinking, and I'm not the first person to notice this, but my thinking is that was a big place where it would spread, because you look at those subways, and man, I've been on some of those, and you're just packed in like sardines. So, David, you were saying, I had my I read that. Rick, I read that. Let's see. Oh, you got an A on that paper. That's awesome. Well, now you can finally write music to your 9th grade lyrics, your 9th grade songs. Let's see. 5 A's. Circle of Sith. Yeah. We'll just do Darth. Did you see that meme that's like Darth Vader is being accused of stealing all the ventilators? Also, did you hear this? This was kind of cool. That apparently, if you flip a person from their back to their stomach, if they're on a ventilator, they get 100% more oxygen. They get twice as much oxygen into their system if they're on their stomach. And then somebody said, yeah, sometimes what they would do is go back and forth like that, because you obviously don't want to get bed sores. But I thought that was interesting. Yeah, Zappa has great quotes. Frank Zappa's, if you just Google Frank Zappa quotes, you can find some great quotes. The quote I said of his earlier was, writing about music is like dancing about architecture. Really nothing together. Whole half. Yes, whole half. Oh, sorry, Franklin. Sorry, if you're still there, whole half is the intervals. So the formula for a major scale which is a total of 8 notes, but really 7 notes, and then bracketed by the same note. You start on whatever note you start on, but in C, it's C. And then you go up a whole step, you get D. You go up a whole step, you get E. Go up a half step, you get F. And then you need another whole step, that's G. Another whole, that's A. And then a whole is B. And then a half step is and so that's what I wrote here at the very top of these scales, and I'll do it again tomorrow because we're going to use it again. But if you'll notice, there's a whole half here and a whole half here. Those are called Tetra chords, separated by a whole step. So we were using Tetra chords. The last whole half of C was the first whole half of G. And a whole step on the guitar is 2 frets this way. Okay. A half step is 1 fret. Okay. A whole step could be also on sequential strings, like D to E, 3rd fret on the 2nd string and opens 1st string. Or a half step would be this. That sounds like a Radiohead song. That's it. What Radiohead song is that? I love Radiohead. So that's what a half step and a whole step is. Another name for a whole step is a major second, and another name for a half step is a minor second. So a major second would be wider, and a minor second would be half as wide. So if you want to, you can go to lesson, I think it's 13, that has that starts the mode lesson, and you'll learn more about major and the modes lesson will talk more about the whole steps and half steps and all that stuff. And I think everybody was getting it, so I think that lesson turned out pretty good. Today, I'm not so sure. No, everybody was getting it today. That's great. We're gonna do flats tomorrow. So we're gonna do the second half of the circle of fifths lesson tomorrow. Let's see what else we have here. So who was it? Okay. Are there any rock songs using whole tone scales? Okay, whole tone scale, just so you know, would be a scale that's just nothing but whole steps. And usually when you hear whole tones, it's usually when they're doing like some kind of dream sequence, right? And so I can't think of any rock songs that use a whole tone scale. I can't. Lydian, which starts out with 3 whole tones, like G Lydian would be. So it almost sounds like a whole tone scale, but then once you get to the 5, which would really make it, that would be a whole tone. I can't think of any, but I'm sure they're out there, and I guarantee you there are prog rock songs that have whole tone scales. Whole tone scale is weird though because it's really hard to set up triads. Okay, whole tone scale is very, very. Hey, if we got some really good guitar players out there, I can show you a trick. These strings are really old, by the way. They're really rusty. Ugh, they're nasty. But I can show you a trick, a cool whole tone chromatic trick that you can amaze your friends with. So if you play a whole tone scale like this, okay, and then the next whole tone scale will be here. So I'm 3 on the bottom string, 3, 5, 7, and then 4, 6, 8, and then 5, 7. Right? We can do the first 4 strings that way. All right, that would be a whole tone scale, and that's a pretty big reach for beginners. Okay. And I like, a lot of people will do first finger, third finger, pinky, and reach with the pinky. I like to reach with the first finger and do 1, 2, 4. But a really cool trick you can do is do the scale twice in the same fingering, but go up a fret. So like that. So now you just played a whole tone scale within a chromatic scale because you just played those 6 notes. But so I'm going 3, 5, 7, 6. I'm sorry, 3, 5, 7, 4, 6, 8. Oh, that's right. Where to use that, I don't know. But you can use it to, in some kind of maybe jazz context. But yeah, I can't think of any rock songs that use whole tone scale though. In fact, if you try to create triads and whole tones, they would just be nothing but augmented chords. That's all you get. The one chord would be augmented, the two chord augmented, three chord augmented. So just be like, why? In fact, when I was doing that earlier to do the movie, I'm just playing augmented chord triads. Here's the one chord, here's the two chord, here's the three chord, here's the four chord, here's the five chord, here's the six chord, and then we only have six chords. It's like, that's why you would not write a song with a whole tone scale. You can try. There's a challenge. Post it on. Let's see. Okay, I missed a lot. Yeah, sorry, Kathy. Let's see. Where, Kevin? I'm on a phone. Oh, doesn't show. Oh, right. The live chat doesn't show. What happened here? Sorry, I missed something. There was always a troll, Chris, sadly. I got one thumbs down. I don't care. I understand the thumbs down. Seriously, because, oh, Circle of Fifths lesson. So I wrote this movie. Seriously, I'd give me a thumbs down. I actually got that comment twice on one of my videos by the same guy. It was like, you talk too much. I'm like, yeah, I do totally talk too much. I admit it. I know. Okay, Tom, at day 50, you'll have a ponytail. Yeah. Maybe. Although I'm going to take that wall out in the backyard just because I have a feeling that's what's coming. That's going to happen before the ponytail, I guarantee. Let's see. Kevin, you have to X out of your live chat and then come back again. Oh, okay. Okay. I missed. Let's see, Tommy. I've been able to ride my quad, but I'm afraid there's. Oh, they're going to cut you off from riding your quad? Really? That doesn't make sense. I mean, if you drive out to like the mountains and want to just hang out in the mountains and nature by yourself, I don't understand how that doesn't endanger anybody. I just don't get. Well, I saw that Boris Johnson was in the hospital, but my understanding was that the doctors just told him to go there because of his continuing. I didn't hear that he was in intensive care, but I'll check that out. That would be a bummer. And in my opinion, that would be akin to assassination. We won't say who's guilty here, but dang, that's pretty crazy. Oh, yeah. And I saw someone did a video on how to make a mask out of a t-shirt. So you can actually take an old t-shirt and cut it and make it into a mask that you can just wear kind of over your shoulders and pull up when you need it, which is kind of cool. Let's see. I do this, everyone. I do this video for you. Tom, this video is for me. Yeah. Right? That's exactly right, Verdi. I don't care about you guys. I would be doing this if I had one. If Verdi was the only one out there watching, I'd be doing this. You know that, right? It's crazy. Pretty soon I'm going to log off here. I'm almost done. We'll end the stream and I'll say the total here at the bottom. It's pretty crazy. Rick, you've been here from day one. God bless you. Subways are totally empty now. I saw a picture though from Thursday last week. There were a bunch of people on a subway in New York. I'm like, and there were people wearing masks. So that told me it was like, wait a minute, that's recent. So they were saying they were claiming it was Thursday. You weren't able to run sleds. They shut down the trails down early. I don't understand. I mean, they take problems from other communities. Like in New York, I get it because New York, everybody goes to Central Park to get stirred because they have cabin fever. You're going to have clumping. Everybody's going to be clumping, and that's going to cause problems. I get that, but we've got parks in California that, LA County, I think, is the largest county in America, and we've got parks that are giant. You can walk in. I mean, technically in LA County, if everybody had their own plot of land, they'd probably have an acre. It's that big. Let's see. Yeah, if you could do a thumbs up, that's great. I appreciate it. Let's see. What do you think about the 5G theory causing the virus? Oh, I thought that's interesting. Yeah, I did see that in England they're starting. Apparently, a couple celebrities said something about the 5G towers that were creating vulnerability. I don't know, but the but I think Britain signed a big deal with China to create their 5G network, and that's one of those things where we're trying not to lose that technology to the Chinese. So um, there was, I think there was some lobbying going on to try not to make that happen, but it happened anyway. And so people are lighting them, the 5G towers on fire. And a couple places, I saw one in Liverpool, I think Manchester, Birmingham. They were lighting them on fire because someone said, well, they're not having any coronavirus in Africa, and there's no 5G in Africa. And then the WHO, not the band, the WHO, the World Health Organization came out and said that, oh no, there's thousands and thousands of cases in Africa. And I went, are there though? I got out the official count, and there's like, I mean, yeah, because there's a lot of countries in South Africa. I mean, in Africa, and South Africa had several cases, but they're not thousands and thousands of deaths. But I'm not ascribing to that conspiracy, but it is interesting. I know people were worried about the 5G towers anyway, regardless of the pandemic. So, let's see. Look at all the. Do you wipe down after you play? Have a friend who. Yeah, Kathy, Elixir strings are great because I don't really have to. This guitar is just probably rusty because it was sitting in the closet so long without being played. I changed my strings enough that I don't really get that problem. But yeah, it's smart to wipe down your strings after you play. I just, I mean, here, I'm going to show you a view you don't normally get to see here. But I'll show you. I'm not done with kind of organizing my office, but here you can see over there, I've even got more guitars. And so you can see the balalaika and the ukulele, that hallways, the guitars hanging in there. So, and then this way is just printer and stuff. But I have, I'm picking up and putting down so many guitars when I'm working on the Apex Legends stuff. Yesterday I was working, I literally worked on, and also a new game called Watch Dogs, which is cool. I don't know anything about it. I didn't have to sign an NDA, non-disclosure thing about it, but I do know that one thing they needed was music for a busker, and a busker is, I didn't know this term until this year. In fact, until they called me and said, "Hey, would you play guitar for a busker scene?" And I'm like, I had to look it up. I didn't say what's a busker because I'm like, I better look this up and see. A busker is someone that sits in like a subway station playing songs. And I've done this before. I've actually, like in Pasadena, I played music on the sidewalk and stuff, played jazz and stuff, but I didn't know it was called busking. Busking, or a busker is a person who busks. Anyway, I'd never heard that term. And that's how like Ed Sheeran got started. I think it's a British term, to be honest. I'd never heard it. But they asked me if I would play music for it. So in this game that's coming out in November, there's like somebody playing guitar and it's me. And I guess you could shoot them or run over them or something. So it's funny. They didn't take my picture though. I said, well, can you use my face for it? But no, they didn't. They didn't want to ruin the game. Okay. Rick, see you later. Let's see. Coffee. Why did you say don't ask him about God? I don't know who said that. It must have gotten taken down, or maybe so. Do all flats make a condo? That's hilarious. Well, maybe we'll find out that tomorrow. You co-wrote a film, David. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I would love to get one of my films made. Although I have a feeling like that would take all my time. If this TV show that I created, if I ended up doing that, I would literally not be able to do anything else. Now, I wouldn't be the showrunner because I don't know how to run a show. That's the most important person. But I actually have a friend that I would have. He's been a showrunner on major TV shows, and he would be perfect for this. So I would have someone like that do it if I could. He's part of my dream team. Yeah, someone said, don't ask him about God. Yeah, well, I do say God bless you at the end of my videos. I do talk about my church sometimes, but I am not a theologian, so I'm not going to go on and on about my faith necessarily. So don't worry about that if that offends you. But if me saying God bless you offends you at the end, that's kind of silly. But that's fine. You don't have to. You can thumbs me down. New York Mayor. So Watchman, you're saying what now? Oh, I'm waiting for my Elixir strings in the mail now. Oh, cool. Okay, that's right. Because you ordered some. You said, oh yeah, because they were like $15. Okay. Can't wait to play them. What's the easiest way to C chord to D? Okay, Chris Easter. You know what? I do need to do a video on that. I have gotten that question a lot of how to change chords faster. And maybe we'll do that's really one of those videos where I would hate to make it one of our daily lessons because it would be so basic, but I can talk about that. I could come up with maybe 5 tips for changing chords faster. Some of them are pretty obvious. Watchman, my New York mayor said they were going to take the vents out from the city hospitals. The people upstate New York said you will not. You'll be met with resistance. Yeah, I heard that they were going to send the National Guard up to northern New York to take the ventilators out of the hospitals up there. I'm like, yeah, ain't going to happen. Not going to happen. So, yeah, the virus is definitely, it was I'm pretty sure the consensus is pretty much that it was an accident that came out of a lab. Wasn't intentional. It's hard, but I don't know. Obviously, I don't know that we can ever really know that. They were saying it came from the wet markets, which is, I mean, that's a term I just learned through all this. But they're like eating weird animals and stuff like that, and it's really common in China. I don't know. Guitar is your video game, Gary. That's right. It's a hacker game. Yeah, that's great, Dennis. I love that. I'm an orphan, Tom. You interested in adopting? No, absolutely not. I am loving having the whole house to just Beth and I. It's a lot. It's very enjoyable, may I say. And the kids are grown, so someday, I know soon enough we're going to have grandkids. So that not anytime soon, but I mean it'll happen, and we'll have grandkids over. What do you call them in New York City? Let's see, I missed that. That's what we call them. Oh, maybe that didn't get that got taken down. Kathy's doing her job. A lot of buskers. Oh, that's what you call buskers. Right. Yeah, a lot of buskers in New York City. That's what you call them. It's so weird. I never heard that term. You would think I actually did that. I don't remember what I called it before that, but now I'm just familiar with the term. Tom's going to end up with 40 more kids. Yeah. Well, for one thing, you all want to move out here just because of the weather. That's all that is. That's just not right. I am thrilled I knew something Tom didn't know. You could fill libraries with stuff I don't know. Good job. You would like to have me as your father? Okay. Daddy. Okay, Diane. Let's see. According to the online etymology dictionary, busking originated in 1851 from the word busk, meaning to offer goods for sale only in bars and tap rooms. Interesting. So they must have been selling CDs or something. Probably 8-track tapes back then. Okay. It was considered slang for people performing informally in pubs. Well, I've done a lot of that. Coffee shops and all that. Great. It's awesome having you all. Chris, it's great to be part of this community. It's crazy, isn't it? What's going to happen when we all go back to work and I stop doing this? What are you guys going to do? What are you going to do? You better hope I don't get sick, right? Dave, I guess more common sense term is street musician. That's kind of what I would have said. Yeah. I don't get offended by religion, but you do a good job. Keep it light and sparse. Yeah. I'm not a theologian. I don't want to get into arguments. I try to avoid politics too. I don't want to go there. That's not what this is about. It's clearly not about guitar either. I'll just have the guitar in my hand so they think it's about guitar. Oh, look, Tom's playing the guitar. It must be a guitar lesson. Okay. Yeah, I heard about they had an animal to like, was it a tiger? How many of you are watching Tiger King? Oh my gosh. Already finished. Let's see. Now, see that Watchman, if that's true, check out the 5G frequency. Keep in mind the internet could be full of so much crazy stuff. Like I'm sure there's somebody out there saying if you eat old guitar strings, you'll live forever. It wasn't me. I know, Verdi. Can you believe that? They actually, I heard that. I don't know how the veracity of that story that they were going to use the National Guard to take ventilators out of hospitals in upstate New York. That sounds like hyperbole to me, but. Yeah, Freddie, I don't think that was true, but I'm not sure. Again, I don't really like to talk politics. Oswego is upstate. Yeah, Oswego. I've heard of that. I've been to Syracuse when I was a kid. I was just informed that the Brooklyn Zoo. Yeah, so that's weird that I think it was a tiger, right? Oh, you probably answered that down here. Oh my gosh, I got to catch up here. Hold on a second. Watchman Dana Ashley has great info. Busker, it's a Southern term too, Jim. I did not know that. Okay, wow, that's crazy. I'd never heard that term busker before. And that's just weird. I mean, considering what I do for a living, you would think I'd know that term. Yeah, and I'm literally am praying for New York. It's been a hotbed there. It's just been a mess. I told you about my best friend's wife's sister's husband died in New York, and she has it too now. And he died. He's an actor named Mark Bloom, and he died. In fact, it's crazy because the New York Times and Entertainment Tonight called Janet the next day after he died to interview her, and it's like she couldn't even be with him because she didn't have it, and he did. So he died alone. That's what's so horrible about this, is that if you get it, I mean, I'm trying to make sure that everybody, and I love you guys. I'm trying to make sure that every time I come in contact or talk to somebody, the last thing they hear me say is I love you, because I may not get to say anything to them ever again. And that would just be awful. So, particularly too, because the fever is so bad and the flu symptoms are so bad. If you're on a ventilator, you've got a tube down your throat. You're not talking, and you're probably not even texting. So just make sure every time you sign off with anybody, you say, I love you. And this is a great time to reconcile. I think ultimately we can take this month, 2 months, or whatever it's going to be, and make it maybe an apex in our lives, and make it the best thing it can possibly be. So that's my goal. I'm trying to make this, let's see. Yep. We will teach. Yeah. Oh, that's what you'll do if I stop. Well, and here's the thing, I always say, I learned more by teaching than anything. When I started teaching lessons, I learned I think the most important thing I learned was how to communicate fairly moderate, complex ideas simply. Excuse me. That's kind of my skill that I try to bring to YouTube. It's my pedagogy, as they say, my teaching technique. Okay, I'm going to finish up here. Late April Fool's joke. I want to watch your church videos. Can you direct me? Oh, yeah, theshepherd.org. Although my son is doing the services right now because I'm having him sub for me because we're limiting the number of people on stage. And he needs the money more than I do. So I'm fine. And he lost a lot of work because of this, because a lot of his work was live. So what they're doing is they're filming the worship, and then they're adding the sermon, and they're packaging that, mixing it, doing all that stuff. Our church is very, very, very TV centric. We have everyone that works at our church has been in the industry, working. So it's very, very professional. We have, everything is, I think, 4K and all that. So it looks great. And they're on Facebook. They're on YouTube. You can stream the services there. I think if you go back a couple weeks, you'll see the service that I played for that we recorded 2 weeks even. And you can go back further than that, see some that I play for. But I was sick at one of them. And And it was fine because I was going to let Alex do it anyway, but they freaked out when I got sick in the recording of the service. They all thought I had coronavirus, and I hadn't eaten and slept for 3 days. And it was just stupid stress about this. So I'm trying to not stress about it. And you guys are really, really helping me. Time stop smoking for sure. 100%. There are several factors. For one thing, in Italy, in China, 52% of men smoke, only like 3% of women smoke, but like smoking is big among men in China. In Italy, smoking is much more prevalent, particularly among men than women, and men were dying higher than women, but more prevalent than the US. US is very low. I think in California, it's even single digits as far as what percentage of the population smokes. That's one thing. Another factor is obesity. So this would be a good time to stick to that diet. Hard though, because it's hard to get a workout. The other one is diabetes and also asthma. So my son, Jack, who's the engineer, he only has 55% lung capacity, and they never did figure out why, but my thinking was, and they don't know what disease he had or whether they tried to figure it out. We literally had every expert in the world try to figure out what was wrong with his lungs. But there's a sac around your lungs. And when your lungs collapse, it's because your lung collapses inside this sac, and that's like you can't breathe. You suffocate. So the sac is very, very, this thin sac. Well, I think the sac around Jack's heart, lungs is very thick, because when they cut into it to take samples to try to figure out what was wrong with them, and they pulled the tube out, they couldn't get it to close. So then the hole in the sac allowed air to get into outside the lung, and it collapsed his lung. The poor kid, he was in the hospital, thank God. Immediately he started to suffocate. And so they had to put the hose back into the thing and suck the air out of it. It was just crazy. Poor kid. So he's in the hospital. He was supposed to be there for 3 days. He ended up being there for 3 weeks. And they could not figure out how to close the holes that they made in the sac. And my speculation was that his sac was too thick. So out of context, this conversation is going to sound weird, but the sac around his heart around his lungs was too thick, and it was not closing. So anyway, they finally put super glue in there and closed it. I kid you not. The doctors, had no idea. That's why they call it practicing medicine. They'd never done this before, and it worked. But poor kid was like 17. He was in children's hospital with a 3-year-old roommate that watched the movie Cars on repeat nonstop. Poor kid. Oh my gosh. It was awful, awful, awful. And so let's see. Yes, time to stop smoking. Make it positive in our lives. Yes. Sorry to hear that, Kathy. Oh, shoot. Dennis, yeah, I'm trying not to offend anybody. And, I was an atheist when I was a kid. I totally didn't believe in God. So I totally understand where you're coming from. So yeah, I understand 100%. I'm an atheist on and off all day long, to be honest. There are times I believe in God, and then there are times I'm just like, yeah, you're not there. So trust me, I know exactly where you're at. I don't have a problem with that. So let's see. Anyone else skipping on the showers? Yeah, well, I work from home, so that's kind of new, not new for me, but yeah, my hair. The thing is, my product, I like the look of it after 2 or 3 days better. I like it's crunchier. I like it. Okay. I do. I never did my 10,000 steps at the Rose Bowl, Dan. I went there, but it was always so full of people and it's kind of boring. I usually would get my 10,000 steps with a purpose. So in Pasadena, it was 3,300 steps to Starbucks, and then I go home. And then I get the mail, and then it would be a check there, and I'd go walk to the bank, and that's another 3,300 steps. And then I go home, and then, oh, it's lunchtime. Oh, I'll go get lunch. I'll walk to Lake Avenue or something like that. So I got my 10,000 steps in almost always with a purpose. Out here, it's funny, with our house we bought, I'm 2,200 steps to and from Starbucks and the bank. It's 50% less steps, or no, 33% less steps going to Starbucks and the bank now. So it's like, dang it, So I'm having to walk more for just the exercise. But I'll get on my phone. I may do one of these from my phone. At some point, maybe I'll make you all jealous and show you our backyard. You will hate that. But it would be hard to hold my phone and teach a guitar lesson, I think. So But maybe keep your bells on. And if I just kind of randomly go outside and say, oh, I'll go live for a minute, I may take that video down, but I could do like you could see my backyard that way. See if I can get some of you, catch your attention. What kind of church? It's pretty much a non-denominational church. I mean, they call it Christian church. Like if you heard of something, Greencastle Christian Church or, Chicago Christian Church or whatever, it's that denomination. They like to claim they're not a denomination, but it's a lie, because anytime the church says it's non-denominational, if they have two campuses makes it a denomination. So it's denominational. They have definitely rules, but I always, they have theology that they ascribe to. But we have 10,000 members, and I've always said, if you have 10,000 members, you have 10,000 theologies. Nobody in any church, you have 200 members in your church, you have 200 theologies. Nobody in any church agrees 100% with the pastor or the staff on all the theology points. So majors and minors. Yeah. So you chain smoke, Verdi? How many you answer that question? How many? So, oh, you're kidding, Verdi. That's tough. I mean, the great thing about you can get those patches and stuff like that. So, not Alan. I'm still working from home. Who Alan said what now? Anyone skipping the shots? Oh no, you're still taking a shot. I heard that. I think that's actually good to kind of get dressed and take a shower and kind of do your normal routine. I'm trying to be routine minded. I've never really smoked. I've never done drugs or anything like that. My hair looks better without the product. Yeah, that's probably true. But I kind of like it. I just put enough in and then I kind of scrunch it and bring it forward. I'm still not talking about guitar. We still got 41 people on it. I can show you a trick. I'll show you a little trick that's kind of cool. I think I mentioned this before, but take us for a walk. I could do that. We could totally do that. If you guys really want, I could tell all the stories on the walk. I don't need to do the stories during these. That probably better. What I should do is do the guitar lesson one, make it 30 minutes. And then, okay, now I'm going to go for a walk. You guys want to join me? Then I walk out and I tell a story for like an hour while I get my 10,000 steps in. That makes more sense, because now it's 2 hours and 12 minutes, for gosh sake, you guys, this is insanity. Okay. So my trick, I'm going to show you the minor pentatonic that we learned. It would be on, say, I'll just write it down from the strings. It'd be 5 8 5 7 5 7 5 7 5 8 5 8. I know that looks like a mess right there, but that's on each string. 5 8 5 7 5 7 5 7 5 8 5 8. That's if you want to make it like B.B. King would play this one more often. He would take that seventh, which is this note and this note. These two are the sevenths. 1, 3, 4, 5, 7. Okay. He would take it down to the 6. So he would play this. You can really hear it when B.B. King would go. He really liked using that 6. It's like a happy blues scale. So that one would be 5 8. This little nugget. This is like an Easter egg in the video. 5 7 4 7. Oops, dang it. What did I do? 4 7 5 8 5 7 4 7 5 7 5 7 5 8. So it's a totally different. And of course, this is movable. Right? Oh, no, people are always, I see people all the time doing FaceTime. Okay, so I am going to, the Epiphone that is very similar. It's actually a really nice guitar. I like that guitar. I've played one of those before. Verdi, you like my hair? Thank you. Some of you are like, I wish I had Tom's hair. See the blue note. Yeah, the blue note. It's actually not the blue note. It's actually kind of the happy note. The blue note is really. I think the blue note and there's a story that goes along with this that somebody might find if they watch this video for 3 hours or whatever, is that like minor third almost bent up to the major third. It's the blue. It's the note in between that. It's like a semitone. I mean, it's a quarter tone. And the story behind that is when they were recording, when the Beatles were recording, I think it was Twist and Shout, George Martin was like perplexed because John kept singing this note that wasn't the third and it wasn't the flat third. He was singing the note in between. And he's saying, John, no, you need to sing this note. And he played on the piano the note John's supposed to sing. And John sang that. And George Martin went, oh yeah, no, that's not it. Okay, sorry, I meant the major thirds. Play, sing the F sharp, not the F natural. And John sang the F sharp, which was the third. And George Martin goes, oh, wait a minute, that isn't right. And that was kind of the revelation that then George Martin had that said, oh wait, there are notes in between the notes. You can actually do that. So Gary, what did Gary say? Oh yeah, that's right. Let's see. I love BB King and Buddy Guy. Buddy Guy's great. They're all great. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's kind of what I got going on here. And to be honest, the shaved on the side thing. All right. Greater than Bonnie Raitt. Outside work. Okay, here we go. I'm going to sign off, and we'll keep this up. And then you guys can keep commenting. I'll give you the numbers here when I sign off. It's pretty cool. I think, did we hit 60? We may have. Okay, 2 cups. Oh, that's Bonnie. Okay. I didn't even, let's see. Okay. Yes. Although one of the signs that you had the coronavirus is that you lost your sense of taste and smell. And my son, Alex, lost his, and he's really into cooking. And I think it's starting to come back. I'm hoping that that's just temporary, but that's what makes me really think that he had it. And therefore I think I already had it. But I'm waiting for the antibody test, and I'm still taking precautions like as if I didn't, but I would love to take the antibody test to see if I've already had it. Anyway, take care, everybody. I really appreciate you. God bless you. And I'll see you tomorrow. We'll finish this circle of fifths thing. Okay. Bye-bye.